Hello and welcome to Sunday Funday. And today, my guest is Selena Martinez. Welcome.
Hi,
Thank you
thanks for
so
having me.
much. We were learning about Texas because I just thought you were, I think everything is close to either Austin or San
Right.
Antonio.
I mean, even people in Austin and San Antonio tend to ask me what's the largest city next to me, and I'm like, well, I'm in the largest city in my area of Texas.
Wow. So you're right by New Mexico, you said.
hmm
And who's famous from where you're at? Because I've heard
From
that name.
Lubbock, Texas.
Yeah.
Buddy Holly.
Oh, okay. He's famous.
Um, Natalie Maines from The Chicks is from here.
Okay.
Um, I mean,
That's all you could
that's kind of, I
like.
mean, Patrick Mahomes went to college here. People tend to claim him as a Lubbock guy, even though I don't think he was born here.
Oh, okay, because he went to college there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Um, so when did you start comedy and how was it starting and where you're at now? Like how did that
Um,
venture come out?
I started in like late January, early February of 2018,
Hmm.
and um there was one other female comic that I saw. And I think pretty soon after I started or right before I started, she had already moved away.
Mm.
So that then there was none. Then it was just kind of me
You,
by myself. And I got started because I had lived in Lubbock for like a year or so, and I hadn't made any real friends yet, so I was like trying to go out and socialize. And my wife saw that there was going to be an open mic comedy night at one of the local bars at a place called Backstage. It's not called that anymore though. But so I went there, and I remember the first night I went there. Um, when we walked in, this guy uh, sitting in front of us immediately turned around and he said, "I need you two to stay for my set. I'm up next. I'll buy you a beer, whatever. Just don't leave." And I was like, "Okay,
mhm,
whatever. A free beer, I'll take it. Yeah, I'll
mhm.
stay." Um, and that's kind of just what happened. I mean, he got up there, he said some joke about lesbians always wearing flannel, and we were wearing flannel, so it was kind
Mhm.
of accurate in the moment. And me and that guy have been best friends ever since, basically.
Oh, wow.
And
So yeah.
he turned out to be like one of the founders of our local comedy group, which we call Laugh Hub City.
Uh-huh.
And he kind of passed like that leadership position that he had onto me.
Oh,
So
okay.
for about the past 3 or 4 years, I've been the one that's kind of been in the head of everything. I book all the shows under Laugh Hub City. I do most of the comedy around town.
Oh, okay. How many comedy venues do they have in your area?
Well, we don't have any clubs,
Uh-huh.
so we kind of just do whatever bars and breweries. And I mean, we've done axe throwing ranges. We just do all kinds of play. Anywhere that's going to let us come in and do comedy, we'll pretty much go in.
Oh, that's smart when you're producing.
Yeah,
Because I'm trying
we're
to get
very
into,
mobile.
yeah, that's smart. Yeah, because all you do is you need a mic
hmm
and you could just put it anywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah.
that's very creative. What did you do for the beginning, like with the open mics? Or again, you guys started producing shows from the get-go?
No, I didn't start producing immediately, and I actually wasn't very good for
Hmm.
like the first, I don't know. One of my friends says you weren't good for like 6 months, and I was like, I mean, that's probably true. But I would say between the first like 3 and 4 months, I wasn't very good at all. And then I don't know, something just clicked, and I kind of figured it out. I think it was just my confidence was never very good because I've
Hmm.
actually always been a very like shy, nervous person.
Hmm.
Um, and then I just had to tell myself, fuck it.
Just get out there and do
Yeah.
it. Get out
But
there and
I started producing like right before the pandemic.
oh, okay, okay. And then the pandemic just fucked
hmm
stuff up. That's
Yeah.
unfortunately, I know how that, yeah. Feel like the pandemic, it was good, but then it wasn't, messed up some things
Yeah.
and all that. So do you ever travel all throughout Texas? Because it's such a big state.
Yeah, I do. I get over I've been getting over to San Antonio a lot more over the past year or so. And
Hmm.
I've had a lot of fun there at a upstage comedy lounge.
Hmm.
And I've done some like all female comedy contests. So I just did an all female comedy fiesta there,
Hmm.
which was really awesome. Um, I've done Austin a couple times. I've done Dallas, well, Plano a couple times. I did the Plano Comedy Festival in 21, I think.
Hmm.
21 or 22. I haven't done Houston yet though. That's my next goal. And then I do all the little cities around where I live. So I do Amarillo, Big Spring, Midland, San Angelo. I'm about to do a place called Snyder, Texas. It's all these places nobody's ever heard of.
No,
So usually whenever we do comedy there, the events are pretty successful because people are excited, to see
they
something
got
different.
entertainment coming.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, because they're like
Yeah. Even
that's
though, we're not household names or anything, they're just like they're excited,
hey, yeah,
something new.
no, I smaller cities do get it. I think like I'm overstimulated because I've lived in like two big cities. Well, actually, I've lived in Miami, I've lived in Vegas, I've lived in LA, I've lived in New York. So it takes a lot to stimulate me. But I've noticed small towns are like happy with the simple,
Oh yeah.
yeah, and grateful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I debate about like retiring myself, going to Tampa. I have a home in Tampa.
Hmm.
And, I step out the door in New York and it's just like your money gets eaten up right away.
Yeah.
And I debate about, but I'm like, what would I do there? Like, what?
I mean, there's probably still a comedy scene in Tampa, and if there's not, you could
Oh, no,
create
no,
one.
they,
It
they
takes,
have,
yeah,
they
yeah, yeah,
do. Yeah, they do have it, but it's like, it's just that there's so much always going on in New York.
yeah.
That's, and I'm a person that I need, that I'm accustomed to big cities. And then I don't like running into too many people I know.
Oh, right. That makes sense.
I'm a big city person.
Yeah. I can't, I mean, here in my town, I can't go anywhere where either I don't know somebody or somebody knows me. Like,
Oh,
which is not, I
wow.
mean, it's not
Yeah.
bad because a lot of times that means, I go into my favorite bar, I get a free drink or two. So it's a little bit of
Oh, that's
an
good.
advantage,
Yeah.
but
Right.
sometimes, you just want to go somewhere and not be known. So I understand that.
Yeah. Yeah. And you guys have HEB.
Yeah, we got an HEB.
That's a that's a big
Yeah.
deal to me. Um, because I remember going into one and I was just fascinated with HEB, looking around. I was like, wow.
Yeah, HEB. I mean, I'm a fan of HEB. Plus, HEB does a lot of really positive things for the state of Texas too.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, yeah, they do a lot of like big donation drives for food banks and stuff like that.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I just remember the flavored ketchup, and then they did something with it was like lime and jalapeno, and they even made desserts out of it.
Oh yeah, they do. I mean, especially during like Hatch chili season, you can find Hatch chili cornbread. You can find Hatch chili,
Oh, that's what it was, the
like
hatch
dessert.
chili.
Yeah. Well,
So,
Hatch chili is just like it's a big thing because we're right next to New Mexico, and New Mexico is like known for Hatch chilies.
oh, okay. Okay, that's why they had it. Yeah, they
Yeah.
were okay, now it makes
Yeah,
sense.
and it's every August, and you can like smell them. They roast them outside the HEBs.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I saw and I saw like all sorts. I just was fascinated with the
Yeah.
grocery. I get fascinated with certain grocery stores, especially when where I live, there's no Walmart, Supercenter, or you know,
Right.
we just
Like
have
a
like
chain.
right. Well, we have like Whole Foods, which is they have it everywhere, and then
Hmm.
they have a new one called Wegmans, but it's so damn expensive that
Yeah.
it's just not fun with this day and age. Not fun to go in
Right.
there.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So it's nice when they go somewhere new. So you grew up in where in Texas?
Well, I was born here in Lubbock. This is actually the house that I'm in right now. This is like my childhood home, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I was like going into junior high, we moved to a place called Greenwood, even smaller. I graduated with a class of 110 people
Wow.
and like 4 cows. There was a lot of livestock in my area.
Oh, do they have
Um,
that 4-H?
oh yeah, they have 4-H. They have FFA, Future Farmers of America. My high school was literally in the middle of a cotton field, so
Oh.
like the whole community is just surrounded by cotton fields. It's getting bigger now, but it was a really small place to grow up in, and it was still very like it was honestly kind of segregated, like the schools and like where like a lot of the Mexicans live in this part of the town and the white people live in this part of town. It's really
Mm-hmm.
and Lubbock is like that too. Like there's a Mexican area, kind of a more gentrified area, and then there's like a black area on the other side of like
Mm.
the railroad basically. And it's so I've kind of lived in people always say like Lubbock is about 50 years behind as far
Oh,
as like
wow.
progress in a lot of stuff. Like they only started selling liquor in the city limits about 15 years ago.
What?
Yeah.
They didn't sell liquor before?
No, you'd have to go outside like outside the county to a place they called the Strip, and there was just like liquor stores.
I'm not a
You
drinker,
couldn't
but I'm just like still like,
Yeah,
what?
you couldn't buy it like down the street at the store or whatever. Like you'd have to go out of town to
Did
get
you
it.
remember that period of time where they didn't have liquor?
Um, I mean, yeah, when I was a kid, we didn't have it. So I remember going to the Strip with my parents like on the weekends, and we'd go and they'd get their alcohol, and then they'd buy us like gizzards and little Mexican candies and beer salt and stuff.
Mhm. Yeah, I'd imagine. I'm curious if they had like alcoholics back then when there
Oh,
was
they
no liquor.
probably did, but
Yeah.
I don't know. They just had to drive to go get it, I guess.
Drive to go. Wow. I remember though in Tampa where I went to school, and I was in college, and on Sundays, I think it was Sundays, they wouldn't sell liquor till like after 2 p.m. They had some law, like I don't know if they still have
Yeah.
that law.
Texas recently just passed a law that now you can buy it Sundays as early as 10, but it used to be noon.
Oh, okay.
You can get it at a restaurant. Like if you go to breakfast at a restaurant that has a bar, then you can get it earlier than that. But
Mhm.
otherwise, you can't buy, I mean, not even beer, you can't buy it until 10 a.m. on a Sunday.
And they're doing that because you think it's religious purposes.
Oh, yeah,
Wow.
100%. Because it's Sunday, you're not supposed to drink on the Lord's Day, even though the Catholics are all drinking wine in the church. But
I wonder how the Jewish people do if they want to have like a drink in the early on a Sunday morning. If
I
they,
mean, they can, you just have to already have it in your
yeah, they
house.
have to have it. No,
Yeah,
but I'm just thinking, what if? Because I just look at like, America is supposed to be freedom of religion,
right.
and I just feel like because some stuff is everything's like based on the Christian religion all the
Hmm.
time, but in Judaism, a lot of stuff is different, and then there's other religions and stuff is different too. Muslims don't drink alcohol; they're not supposed to, but
Right. What's
you know,
interesting though is a lot of the local liquor stores that we have here
uh-huh.
are owned by Muslim people.
Oh, but yeah, oh, because there's a big Muslim population, I think, in Texas.
It's not huge, but there is like there certainly is a Muslim community. I actually live like a few blocks away from the local mosque here. I
Oh,
see it
okay.
when I walk my dogs, I see it.
So
But
they're
I
not
was like,
drinking it, but they'll sell it to you.
yeah,
Yeah. Wow,
which I mean, I
interesting.
guess makes sense. I don't know. But yeah, a lot of things in Lubbock, especially like in Texas, are very like Lubbock is a very conservative city in a very conservative state.
Mm.
We actually there was a proposition that it just got voted down actually yesterday was election day. But there was a proposition to decriminalize 4 ounces or less of marijuana to reduce the amount of people that are like getting
That's
charged.
that's like
4 ounces,
that much, you think?
I don't know. 4 ounces can make 4 ounces like I want to say I'm gonna have to do the math really quick.
I'm thinking I have to like yeah, I can't think back to I can do
4 ounces
percentages.
is 113 grams.
Okay.
So it's kind of a lot,
Yeah.
but the reason it's because that's like the state level that makes it a felony, the 4 ounces. And
Oh.
so they're trying to decriminalize it here in Lubbock because what they've noticed is that most of the people that have been arrested for possession
Uh-huh.
in amounts smaller than 4 ounces are Black and Latino.
Yeah.
Even though, you know, anecdotally, many of the people that sell drugs here illegally, at least that I know of, are white. So
Oh,
there's definitely a lot of
they have dispensaries.
no, just
You said
the drug dealers. We still have drug dealers here.
oh, okay. So the drug dealers are white?
A lot of them are. I mean, I can't do drugs anymore because of my job, but
Hmm.
and I don't think there's anything wrong with, you know, smoking marijuana. But
Yeah.
when I was doing drugs, every single dealer that I knew that I had used was a white man.
And they're not getting in trouble, but they would arrest the black or Latino
Mm-hmm.
population.
Yeah.
It's messed up.
Yeah. Usually with when they, and I've known a couple of them, they've been like, yeah, I was stopped on my way back home from New Mexico and the cop just confiscated my stuff and let me go home. So
Gosh.
there's a lot of, still racial
Yeah. I
discrimination
have a
here.
hard time whenever I've left the country coming back
Really?
in. And I was born here. And I'm like, and they always, when I went to Canada, I had a hard time. Uh, the couple times when I went back and forth to Tijuana, had a hard time. And then a friend of mine, he's Mexican, born here. It was funny. He would go to Rosarito with his girlfriend, and she was Bulgarian, blonde, beautiful, whatever. She wasn't legal, would never have trouble coming in and out, and they would give him the trouble.
And he's a citizen.
And he's a citizen. It's a
That's
shit.
crazy.
Like, I hate, sometimes the way we get treated, it's like we're not, when we are been here,
Right.
yeah, it's messed up.
Yeah. And my mom faced a lot of that growing up. So my mom is actually like one of 17 children.
Uh huh.
And her parents were not legal migrants to this country.
Uh huh.
But she grew, I mean, all of her brothers and sisters, a lot of them, almost all of them went to college, got degrees, are very successful. But I remember this story sticks out to me so much. She told me that she actually went to a grocery store because she used to work in advertising.
Uh huh.
And she went to a grocery store once to try to, get them to buy some ads on Univision.
Mm-hmm.
And they told her, quote, well, I don't know why we need to advertise on a Spanish channel. Mexicans only buy beans and rice.
That's such ignorance.
Yeah. And this was probably like 15 years ago or so, but it was still like that always sticks with me because my mom is very proud Latina,
Mm-hmm.
it's very important to her to help other Latinas get into business and, be successful and stuff like that. And just, I know how proud she is and how much that must have really like bit her.
Yeah. No, I've been told stuff before, and then certain people I've gone to them to tell them like the hardship, and they'll be like, "No, it's not. No, it's not. It's easy for you. Don't worry."
Yeah.
Because the
They
thing,
never they never believe you.
right, right, they don't believe it. But also the thing is, I might look lighter or white, and I feel white. But then when you go and fill out that job resume, sometimes your name
Mm-hmm.
doesn't even get you in the door.
Right.
And I've had that happen so many times. And I don't know if you know this statistic, but Latina woman, we make 52 cents per dollar, where the white woman makes 72 cents per
Yeah.
dollar. And then, of course, we have the Hollywood statistic, which we currently know this is a fact. Because I'm in the group Latinas Acting Up. There's only one show right now in all of television that is all Latinos, and that's Lopez. I think it's called Lopez Tonight.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing. So kind of with this podcast, I want to like push more different Latinx comedians.
Right.
Yeah, because we don't get seen.
Right.
I even asked my therapist. I go, how many? Because I was talking about my podcast. I go, well, how many Latina comics do you know of? And the only Latin comic she could think of probably was George. She said was George Lopez, and
Mm-hmm.
that she knew of. So it's just a male that everybody
Yeah.
knows of, you know, when we know there's so many people, you
Right.
know, yeah, so many others. So we have to kind of push more for diversity and be seen.
Yeah. And that's actually something that's been very important to me as far as like being a representative for my category, like my,
Mm-hmm.
my demographic, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
because I am a lesbian and I'm very outspoken about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's been very important to me to put other like queer people and other women and other Latinos like in the forefront. At least I try. I mean, because sometimes I don't, I'm surrounded by a bunch of white guys, so I kind of don't have a
Yeah.
lot of choices sometimes. But I try really hard to like push women and queer people and Latinos to be, on the showcases and stuff because I want us to be actually representative of the population of the city and not it just being, the same four white guys over and over again.
Right. Right. Right.
And
Right.
because I have, the the position that I have in my organization, it's easier for me to do that. So it's also very unique in like any scene, I think, for like the head booker to be like a Latina lesbian.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like, everywhere else the gatekeepers are always straight white men.
Yeah.
But here it's like
And they gatekeep.
oh yeah. And
And I've
they
also
let
had it.
their friends do their shows just because they're friends, even if they're
Yeah.
not funny, and I hate that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've seen it though, where I've seen some white woman comics, and I'm like, who the hell are they screwing to get on here? And and then they tend to be gatekeepers, and that's like I said with my show.
Right?
I
They get to their position and then they shut the door behind them.
Yeah, they should exactly. A lot of them, not all. There's some good white female comics, but pretty much on my IG when I'm reaching out, the whole reason I started booking, nobody can't say that I didn't try, but there's so many female white comedians I have hit up that don't answer me back in DMs. And it's always, I've probably gotten every Latina comic that I've wanted on it without a problem. Gina Brion, Ida Rodriguez, Carmen Lynch, like great
Mhm.
female Latina comics, I've gotten on no problem. But when I'm reaching out to white male comic, when I'm reaching out even sometimes to African American comics, they're not answering me back. So
Well,
it's
I know
other.
so the other thing too about like my little area that I live in, the other two people that book primarily in this kind of West Texas area
Uh-huh.
are also women.
Oh, good.
And one of them's a black woman, another one is a Latina. So I can send you their contact
Oh, yeah,
information
yeah,
as
yeah.
well.
Send
And
me.
I can pretty much guarantee that they will respond to you.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, usually I've been doing a lot of referrals, and I'll find one of the great comics in New York, and had her on twice, is Stephanie Tejada, and she's out of LA. And I said, hey, can you help me book here? It's so hard because I don't know who, and I'm always looking, and in order for this podcast to be successful, I have to have it come on every single week,
Right.
and I have to get a guest every single week. And thank God for some of the Aaliyah's helped me. Aaliyah Janine's helped me find comics before. Stephanie Tejada, she has brought me so many people on there, and it sort of helps,
Yeah.
yeah. But I'll run into a couple of those. Some people will refer somebody and it just won't work out. That's one thing, but it kind of just helps me grow too in my podcast to give more visibility for everybody.
Right. Well,
And
and I
then
think
I've been able to introduce different people, and that's kind of a nice feeling when people travel or go somewhere.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I think part of it, and this is just something I've noticed when I've reached out to people to try to book them on my shows here.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, if they don't see it as an advantage to them, as far as like if they're not going to make a certain amount of money or if they're not going to get a certain amount of notoriety, because Lubbock is kind of relatively unknown, I guess it's
Mm-hmm.
pretty unknown. And because we don't have somebody like a like we don't have anybody here that can really push somebody up to stardom.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times they'll ignore me, or they'll just be like, oh, I can't do it for that like little amount that you get, which I understand. Like, people have to make a living, but sometimes they'll ask me a lot of questions about like, well, how much can you pay? What's the biggest room that you have? How many tickets can you sell? And I'm like, well, I'm gonna be honest with you. At certain venues, I can only pay you this amount of money because that's the money that the venue's giving me, and
Right.
they're not gonna let me shut the doors to their regular customers. So I
Right.
can give you this much money, and this is how big the room is, and I guarantee you it's gonna be full because most my showcases are almost always like full packed to
Mm-hmm.
standing room only. But I can't guarantee you. There's just certain things I can't do. Like financially, I just can't do it. And
Well, but if they're serious about the craft, you want to just get up on stage as much as possible.
yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
And Lubbock too is like Lubbock's a hard audience, especially in the rooms where like it's not a paid show, like where it's not a ticket show or like a
Yeah.
door show.
Uh-huh.
It's hard because some people are just in there because they're in the bar. So
Um,
you have to get
entertain.
their attention.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how many shows I've done where people were like, "Oh, I didn't know comedy was happening tonight, but I'm really glad I stayed. I had a great time." Like that to me is the best feeling, knowing that they didn't come here to see this, but we won them over.
That's good. Yeah, that's a good
I love
feeling.
doing that.
Right. But anybody, I think if they're serious, they want to just, if they're not touring or whatever, they just need to get up.
Yeah. Well, and
Okay, look.
a lot of the people that I have had some like LA comics come through here. So I've had well, Aaliyah was just here, and then I've had a woman named Rena Calm, who's been a road comic for about 12 years.
Mhm.
She's been through here several times. She's always very gracious when she comes here. She's very like anything that we can, she knows that we can't really give her a whole lot as
Yeah.
far as like money, but she always she stays with me, and I usually try to feed her
Hmm.
and just give her a place to relax for a while. And then we've had Brandy Posey from the Lady to Lady podcast.
I don't know.
We've had Anna Valenzuela. Have
I
you
don't know.
interviewed her?
Uh-uh.
Okay, I
I'll
can
have to
maybe
see who
connect
she
you.
is. Yeah,
I can
connect.
probably connect you with her on Instagram.
Okay. Yeah,
She follows
connect
me.
me later. Yeah, through
Yeah,
IG so I see
yeah.
who, because sometimes I see so many clips of
Mm-hmm.
people,
Yeah.
and sometimes I'll just remember their face or their joke or whatever.
Yeah.
And
We have had a lot of pretty good like Los Angeles, Austin comics and stuff come through here, and a lot of them are very like they're just grateful to have like a place to go. We've had Olivia Grace here. We've had a bunch of really amazing performers here that I've had the privilege to work with. But sometimes it doesn't work
yeah.
out for some
Now, do
people.
you ever like, because you're right there in Texas, like get in the car and maybe go stay in Austin for like a week or two, or go into,
Yeah,
because
I stayed in Austin for a week a year or two ago,
mhm.
and I just went down to try to like hit the open mics, just try to get to know the scene a little bit. And it was just really difficult. And I noticed how like cliquish it is, how
Mm.
unless they know you, unless they think that being your friend is gonna be some kind of advantage to them.
Damn, they're turning into, that's how they are in LA. They're
Yeah.
turning into that over there.
It's oh yeah. And people that I know, like my friend Rena, she's done Austin, a dozen times since she started doing comedy. And she's like, it used to be really awesome and it's just getting worse. And she's like, I don't know that I'll ever go back. Just because
Oh.
because the nature of everything ever since Joe Rogan moved there, all these comedians just flocked there, and they
Yeah.
only want to be friends with people, and they only want to work with people that have like either proximity to power or proximity to like Booker, you know.
Wow. That's the way LA mentality is.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's really unfortunate. Like it's I don't know, I just think things could be so much better if people were more honest about their intentions,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
cared about
Damn.
the craft and not just their
Right.
own
Right.
trajectory.
He just made, what an influence. He just like left the city, like left LA, went over there and
Changed a lot.
changed a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
I mean, they
crazy.
do say that his club is kind of a dream club for comedians as far as like how they're treated and everything, which is good, I
Hmm.
guess, but it's also like to me it has been attracting kind of
Douchebags.
yeah, and the comedians that are ambitious and not in a good way. Like ambitious, like willing to do anything.
Oh, I don't like that. I call clout chasing stuff.
Yeah, yeah, oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't like
Where it's
that.
like there's just no integrity. People that I know that'll be like, "Oh, I actually don't like Joe Rogan at all, but I'm going to try to get on Kill Tony, or I'm going to try to get on whatever so I can try to get to Joe Rogan." Which I'm like, "Well, if you don't like him, then why
Yeah,
would you
if I've
pretend
never,
like
I'll be honest, I appreciate his podcast. I
mhm,
don't agree with everything Joe Rogan says. I think because we're both Generation X, that's where I understand
yeah,
him. Where anybody younger would be like, just can't. So I understand, and I understand why he moved. I totally get it for him, And again, what he does is different, what would reflect upon me, his life. But if I don't know, I've worked with a lot of I have my SAG card and I've lived in LA, and I've been around a lot of famous people in my life. And if somebody's just a dirtbag or a douchebag or a user, I just don't want no part of them.
yeah.
And
I
that,
mean,
yeah.
there's just a lot of that. There's even some of that like here in Lubbock. It's very strange to me the way some of the kids will I call them kids because they all kind of feel like my kids that I'm trying to manage at the
Yeah.
open mics and stuff. Sometimes it'll be like they'll never say two words to me, and then as soon as they want something, all of a sudden it's like, oh my god, hi, how are you? Can I help you with anything? What have you been up to? How's
Oh,
your like all these questions, and I'm like, just get to the point. Just tell me you want a spot on a showcase. Like
yeah.
you don't have to pretend to be my friend. It's okay. It doesn't hurt my feelings. And
Yeah, be straight.
sucking up to me isn't going to get you anywhere here.
Yeah, I just call people out when they do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's usually whenever they get into their whole spiel, I'm like, what do you want?
Yeah.
Just I
I
have a lot more respect, for
What
you
sign
just
are
coming
you?
out and saying it. I'm a Cancer.
Oh, okay, I'm Gemini. So I'm
Well,
just like,
I'm a Gemini moon or a Gemini sun, I think.
oh, yeah,
Rising,
that's
I don't know, one of them.
what day's your birthday?
July 12th.
Okay, so you probably have like a Gemini moon. But with
Yeah.
me, I'm just straight up if somebody like I don't know, I think Geminis like in general, we don't do the ass kissing and if we just don't like it like I had somebody recently and I totally like just told them out they live in New York or whatever and they asked me to connect with them with somebody, then they got connected with them, then I never heard from them again. Then I see they're doing something in New York, some event, whatever. I wasn't invited, whatever. I didn't write anything rude. I ignored it. Then they text me asking for help with something. And then I just gave it to them. And I'm like, okay, this person's just a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like I don't want no part of it. And I see it's weird. I see how I just if I don't like somebody, I'm not gonna kiss your ass. I don't give a shit who you
Right.
are.
Me
Like
too. That's,
that's how I am, and I
yeah.
don't care how
I'm like,
high up.
it's
Huh?
probably set me back a little bit because there are certain people that I've been in proximity to where I could have kissed their ass and gotten something, but it's just not who I am.
That's me too. There has been people that I could have kissed their ass, but I just like,
Yeah.
okay,
I can't do it. I can't bring myself to do it.
me either. Me either. I could have been a lot. Yeah, I don't. And I just tell it like is. I don't care anymore. I don't
Yeah.
care.
I mean, I think if I didn't have, this pesky little bug in my brain called integrity, there's a lot of stuff
Yeah.
that I
Plus to
could have
be
been doing.
authentic. It's the thing of being
Yeah.
authentic. I just rather like a long time ago I had a good therapist and he was like I would be in situations and I wasn't happy and then he taught me about boundaries. And those people that are like just defying you and they're fake and all that, they're not good energy.
No.
Yeah,
It's not worth it
right.
to kind of stoop to that level and
Yeah.
I don't know.
And everybody has I've noticed with comedy, everybody has a different journey. We all don't need to copy. They all don't need to
Yeah.
copy each other. It's like podcasting, like I do this podcast. This is how I'm going to do it. This is my style. Everybody has different podcasts, whatever. But in comedy, you guys have different venture. Like the girl I interviewed last week, she's a comic. She doesn't want to tour, and she's done other stuff.
Hmm.
So with comedy, it's whatever venture you want to be.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the greatest thing about comedy. It's like it's really, choose your own adventure. You can do
Yeah.
whatever you want. Like people have different goals and sometimes when the lesser experienced comedians around town ask me like, "Well, how do I do this? How do I do that?" And I'm like, "Honestly, you kind of have to pave your own way. Like if I can help you, I'll try."
Yeah.
But a lot of times there's going to be stuff that like I don't know how to do that. So usually I just and like the thing that I like to say is like just hey, hold the microphone close to your face and be yourself. That's really the only thing
Yeah. And then
that's
see
going to
where
get you.
and have fun with it.
Yeah.
That's it. Have
Enjoy
fun.
it. Don't do it because you have to. Don't do it because you want to be, don't
Right.
do it because you want the Netflix special. Do it because you love to
Right.
do
The
it.
art. It's
Yeah.
an art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think to me the only way to get where I'm going to make it worth it to me is I have to do it like in my set of morals. Like I have to
Mhm.
do it in a certain way. I don't want to take shortcuts. I don't want to have to like suck up to the wrong people. I just if I get to where I'm going, I'm going to do it my way.
Yeah.
And my
I
way
agree.
unfortunately is going to take probably a lot longer, but
Uh-huh.
at the end of the day, I know I'm going to have to be like okay with myself as a person and not just, a successful comedian.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's really, I mean, that is one thing that the pandemic taught me because I think before the pandemic, I probably would have been like, by any means necessary, I want to do comedy. But
Hmm.
during the pandemic, I really thought about it and I was like, well, no, I think it's more important to me to be a good person, a good friend, a good wife, a good
Hmm.
daughter. Like, I want to be a good human being. And if I can also be a good comedian, great. But I'm
Right.
never going to let my ambition for comedy interfere with the kind of person that I am.
That's good morals, good status like that. It's a good way to be. There's not a lot of people.
What just, I
Um,
mean, because if I don't end up being a successful comedian, at least I can be a successful human being. Like,
right, right, right. And that's important nowadays because people are weird. Um, would you, this might be kind of personal, but I'm just curious. My daughter's gay, but she's in Austin, which is more liberal. Um, how do you, how is it being a gay woman where in that part of Texas that you're at? Because I live in
Um,
the most liberal city,
yeah.
and I get scared for my daughter. She's just in Austin, so I can just imagine, I don't know
Yeah.
if
I
it's
mean,
more heightened fear.
Austin is definitely more open. Like, so in Lubbock, unless it's a place that I'm comfortable, me
Hmm.
and my wife don't uh like are not physically affectionate with each other. And a lot of times if I'm by myself, I'm kind of straight passing anyway. Like people don't assume that I'm gay
Hmm.
until I start talking and then they kind of immediately know. But I don't know. I mean, doing comedy here, I've been very out about it. I almost always talk about, being gay, and it's important to me to be visible in that way.
Yes.
Um, and there are certain bars where I was like, I can't go. I know I can't go there. I know that place is
Oh.
not safe for me. And um, there, I don't know that there's been a lot of hate crimes against LGBTQ people here, but I think a lot of
Hmm.
it is probably unreported. And for the most part, a lot of the lesbians I know just kind of stay home because they're also afraid of, something happening to them. Um, but I don't know. I mean, I would say it's not the worst place I've lived. I'll say that.
Okay.
I've lived in much more like when I lived in Greenwood, super conservative. When I was in high school, I wasn't out. I was terrified. And
Hmm.
then I went to college in San Angelo. Um, that is a lot more conservative. I was really like scared to go on dates and stuff there with my wife because I just didn't know,
Hmm.
what could happen, who could be watching.
Yeah.
But here, I guess the thing about being queer in a small city or in like a conservative space is just making sure you have a good community around you. So, a lot of my friends are straight, but I know that, if I'm around them, nothing can happen to me because they've stood up for me multiple times in the face of, you know, somebody giving me a hard time.
Oh man.
They always have my back, which
Yeah.
is really good. I have had a couple really like standout instances, I guess. So I
Hmm.
remember I was hosting an open mic once and this man came up to me after the show, this like really tall white gay man. He came up to me after the show and he told me I was setting back the gay movement. And I was, which I was like, well, I mean, I'm a lesbian. I am the gay movement. I'm not sure what you're talking about. But
Hmm.
he told me because something one of the comedians said was like, he said it wasn't feminist. And I said, well, I didn't say that. He said that. And it's open mic, so I kind of just have to let him say it. Now, if he was saying a slur or being really aggressive, that's different. Then I can cut him off. That's because that's something I've
Oh,
also
so you were
done.
just letting him perform, like,
Yeah, I was just
yeah.
letting him perform, and he
Hmm.
told me that that was setting back the gay movement. That I'm the reason that gays aren't going to get further ahead and all this kind of stuff. And it really like I took it to heart. I kind of and I was scared too because he was just like a tall white man yelling at me, and that's a little frightening in itself.
Yeah.
But
He couldn't handle it, but you could.
yeah, well, and it's I mean I think he was angry about something else, to be honest, because
Oh,
I
okay.
I talked to somebody that he knows after that fact, and they said that he was kind of going through a lot. And I think he
Oh,
just kind of that was like the
he
straw
was
that
having a moment.
he was having a moment. But I
Yeah.
did hear him out, and I did think about it for a long time because I was like, well, I don't want to set back the gay movement. It's important to me to be like a
Hmm.
positive representative, I guess. Um, but then like about a week later I was doing another show and this like young girl came up to me. She was in college. She had just started going to college at our Texas Tech here, and she came up to me after the show and she said, I was really scared to be gay in Lubbock. I was really scared that we weren't out here, that something bad could happen to me, but seeing you out there like up on stage being proud to be gay and being loud about it makes me a lot more comfortable here.
Oh, that's good.
So I was like, everything that that man said to me was completely washed away
Good,
by
good.
knowing that, like,
But it was an
this little
open
girl saw
mic.
somebody like
Like,
her. Yeah. Which is like, I mean, I don't control everything these guys say. I do have a rule where I don't allow them to say slurs.
okay.
Um, but a lot of that is because, like, uh, we've just had instances in the past where people get aggressive at the bar, and because it's not our
Mm.
club,
Yeah, yeah.
it's the bar. I have to do what the bar says. And the bar is like, hey, we just can't have that kind of activity here anymore. We're going to kick you guys out. So I'm like, hey, we're not saying those words.
Mhm.
Not at my shows. You can go say them anywhere else, but you don't say
Right.
them here.
Oh, yeah, that's good. At least you could get it down. So, wow.
But
That was
I don't know. I
powerful.
mean, I'm not scared to be gay most of the time, but there are
Hmm.
like some of the smaller cities that I go do comedy in, or some of the smaller cities I stop in. I do carry a just in
Mm,
case. I carry one and I carry a pocket knife if I can't have my just because you never know, and sometimes people will give you like kind of dirty looks and stuff like that. So
damn.
it's just I don't know. It's just
Well,
something
the
that I'm
fact that you
so
have
used to.
bars, that's just seems you I'm sorry I sound ignorant because I'm in New York and I feel like we well, some places you just don't want to walk into here in New York, but to walk into a bar that you don't feel comfortable and it's the United States,
Yeah.
that's a problem.
Yeah, and it's usually like I'm okay if I go by myself, but because my wife is a lot more masculine presenting,
Hmm. Oh,
I
I
I
get you.
worry more about my wife
Okay.
than I do for myself. So like if
Hmm.
I go and I'm with, some of my straight friends, or if I'm with a bunch of girls or whatever, um I'm I'm kind of okay. But if I go with my wife, I'm a little bit more frightened. And we
For
do
her
have people
safety.
that, yeah, we do have people that stare at us. And especially if I've had a couple drinks, I do get a little aggressive. I'm like, what is it, because my wife is so hot? Yeah, I know. Do you want to take a picture? Like, and it's usually one of my friends will have to be like, Selena, you have to stop doing that. I said, well, he needs to stop looking, because what is he
Mm,
staring for? I do get a little, I don't know, I get a little angry sometimes when it all just kind of comes out. But
yeah. But it's
so
like
far,
2024.
yeah,
Yeah.
so far nothing bad has happened.
Hmm. Oh, thank
So
God for that. Thank God for that. I'm just curious, because it's a small city compared to where I live.
yeah.
And my daughter's always like, you won't like Austin. You won't like Austin.
Well, I mean, and to me, Austin is like, I feel a lot more comfortable there than I do here. I mean, I
Okay.
feel comfortable here just because I've lived here.
Hmm.
Um, but as far as like being out with my wife and holding her hand and stuff in public, I feel a lot more comfortable doing that in Austin than I do here.
I get you. I get you. So do you have any plans to like tour really the rest of the United States or you're just gonna
I'd like to. It's just it's really just a financial obstacle for me.
I understand.
But I'd really like to, and I've applied to festivals out of state. I haven't gotten into any yet, but I've applied to a bunch of them. Um, I think too, it's hard now with social media. You have to have like, people are looking for a certain social media following, and I just
Hmm.
don't have that. But I do like,
Oh, sorry, hold on, my
that's okay. I don't have
my
that large social media following, but I do have like what I would say is a really excellent 15 minutes. I love doing
hmm
50. I can do half an hour, but I prefer to do 15. Um, but I'd like to take that around first and do like, features for
hmm
people, do 15, 20 minutes, and then, kind of work towards my hour. Cause I'm very much a perfectionist when it comes to like what jokes are going to make the final set.
mm.
Cause
And where does
I probably write 100, 200 jokes a year, but only, you know, maybe the top 10 of those are making it into the set.
mm, where does your material come from?
Just from my experience in life, I feel like um being who I am, it's just like kind of a unique experience in as far as where I've lived.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean it also just comes from like being being kind of like a weird, lonely kid. I just was always in my head. And so I was
Mm,
always trying to find my ways to make myself laugh. And then, a child of divorce, I was trying to make my siblings laugh, to so we can kind of forget about, our parents not being together. And then when my mom is stressed out, even she'll call me and she'll be like, "Hey, I need you to make me laugh right now." So I'm like, "Okay, I'm on." And then I just, I do a little 3 minutes
mhm.
just to cheer
Just
her
to
up for a
cheer her
second.
up.
So it's always just like I think people have always kind of looked to me to kind of lighten the mood.
Mm. So you're the one in the family. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm also the one in the family where I'm like, hey, this is a serious issue. We need to sit down and talk about this.
Hmm.
But then by the end of the phone call, I'm like cracking jokes about it. So it's just, it's coping. Like a lot of comedians, it's how I cope.
Oh, yeah. 1 minute you're okay. We need to handle this issue.
The next minute I'm like, okay, that's too serious. Now let's do jokes.
Yeah. Well, it's a good way to even out something or turn a bad situation into a good.
Yeah. Well, and to
Yeah.
me, it's the only way that I can really like if something like my father passed away about 3 years ago,
Oh,
and
sorry about that. My father passed in 2019.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it was just like it's just unexpected,
Hmm.
and he and I always had like a very complicated relationship. Uh, so I was just very upset. And for a long time, I couldn't joke about it. And when I finally started to like really deal with all the grief and everything and all the like guilt and everything that I felt was when I felt like, okay, finally now I can talk about this and I can joke about it. And that's when I felt like really, I've moved past that initial phase of just like devastation.
Mm, I got you. I got you.
So
Yeah.
it's always like that's how I know I'm kind of not necessarily over a situation, but that I've kind of dealt with it emotionally is when I'm able to make a joke about it. Because there's been a lot of other like I don't know, not like bad things, but just like weird situations or uncomfortable social situations that have happened to me where I'm like, this made me feel bad, and I have
Yeah.
to make it not feel bad anymore.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. Yeah. Because when my father died, he died same thing all of a sudden.
Yeah,
And then it took a moment for me to think of some of the stuff that he does. And my
yeah.
cat, unfortunately, she just passed.
Oh, I'm
And
sorry.
I was trying to, I think I was doing the same thing you were doing, but I was thinking of the time my daughter wanted a hamster. And I was like, we're not getting a hamster. We have cats. And I go, only if the shelter has it. I was living in LA at the time. And don't you know, the shelter's like, yeah. And I'm like, but we have cats. And I'm thinking the lady at the shelter is going to go, no, you can't have a hamster of the cat, like be on my
Oh,
side. And
yeah.
she goes, oh, my cats love that I have a hamster and a gerbil. And so then my daughter's like, see, mom, because she's encouraging me to
Mm-hmm.
adopt this hamster. We take the hamster home. I lock him up. I put him up high. Guess what because it's I have two cats, but the one girl cat. Guess what? They found the hamster, and the two cats were bouncing the
Oh
hamster
Lord.
back and forth.
Oh
And
my
guess who
God.
have to witness that? I did, and I'm like yelling, screaming, and my daughter is getting. And I said, "I told you." And that traumatized me, but it's funny now. But I had to think of a
Yeah.
moment when my just like you said, find a moment, a good time with my cat, and I remember the
No,
time she killed
it was
the hand.
horrible in the moment, but it's
It
kind
was
of funny
horrible
now.
when it happened. Yeah. Well, it was a funny moment because I
Yeah.
remember them with their paws just like ping
Playing
pong
tennis.
playing tennis with the hamster back
Oh
and forth.
God.
And then me looking at the hamster and its face and everything. It was so dramatic for me. Oh,
Poor hamster.
but that was the time. Another time though, they did find a mouse in the house, like a
Hmm.
little mouse, and they earned their little temptation treats because they rolled instead of like tossing, they were just rolling it back and forth. And
Just playing with it.
the mouse was like this big, it was like an inch or two big, and they were just rolling it back and forth. And oh
Well, at
gosh,
least they did their. That's probably what they thought when they saw the hamster. They said, "We got to get rid of this thing. That's what we're here for."
they got rid of it. And now my black cat has to lose weight. And the vet said, you've got to play with your cat. And I'm like, shit, I gotta play with this. And I tried the wand. He doesn't like it. You know that wand with the furry
Yeah.
stuff.
Hmm.
So I had to buy an electrical mouse for the cat, a
Hmm.
$25 electrical mouse to exercise the cat. So
Yeah. The last time I took, I have dogs. What last time I took one of my dogs to the vet, I got so offended because she was like, "Well, your dog could lose, 4 or 5 pounds," and I was like, "Are you fat shaming my dog right now?" She is beautiful. You could lose five. I was like so mad inside. I was like,
oh,
fine.
really? That you shame. What type of breed of dog do you have?
She's a little pit healer mix.
Uh-huh.
So she's
Oh,
just like
okay.
a 40-pound ball of fury.
40 pound.
She
Yeah.
has a lot of energy. She's already almost 6 years old and she still has that same puppy energy. But luckily my
Oh.
other two dogs and the neighbors dogs next
Oh,
door,
that's
so
right.
I'll
You
wear
can
her
have a
out.
whole pack of dogs where you live.
Yeah, well, yeah, because I have a backyard, so
Oh, wow.
I have three little dogs.
Oh, see, that's what's different. I'm just in a co-op, and there's no space. I could just have the cat. Well, I have one cat now. Unfortunately, my other cat died, but yeah, New York is so rare to get a yard.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's another thing too, where it's like I'd love to move to a bigger city and try to work out there, but I have this little family now, these little dogs, and they need to have if I kept them in an apartment, they would rip it up.
Yeah.
There's no way. And then because my one dog is like a pit mix, it's hard to find like housing.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. No, they
Even if I put
discriminate.
on there like she's a healer, there's when they see her, they're like, no, that's a pit bull. And I'm like, she's a healer.
They discriminate against the pit
Yeah.
bulls and
And
everything.
she is a sweet little girl. She looks scary because she does have that pit bull face and that jaw,
Hmm.
but she's scared of everything. She's just a big weenie.
Oh, yeah. I
She's a
had it.
real sweetheart.
Yeah, I've seen people like in LA and New York have big dogs, and I'm like,
Yeah.
how
And
do you
she's not even that. She's, 40 pounds. She's
40?
maybe a little bit higher than my kneecaps, and I'm very short.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
so I mean, gratefully my mom, this is my childhood home. My mom has owned it throughout the whole time and she's always rented it out. And well, my grandfather was sick about 7 or 8 years ago, 7 years ago, I guess.
hmm.
Uh, so that's why we moved. Me and my wife moved back here so I could be closer to my family.
Oh, okay. You're very blessed that
And
way.
yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if I had to pay more rent than I pay now, I couldn't. There's no
That's
way
the
I could
thing
even do
about the bigger
comedy.
city because you have to like justify.
Yeah,
Yeah. And if you've got something good going on right now
yeah.
and
I
you're
mean,
happy.
ideally, really my if my wife could make more money and then I could go on the road full time, that would be ideal. But
Yeah.
it's hard.
Oh, yeah. Economy, everything's hard now.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Selena, for coming on. Can you please let my audience know where they can find you?
Yeah, you can find me TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, at Selena whatevers with a Z at the end.
Okay. My name
Same
is
everywhere.
Marcela Alonso, and if you like to follow me um, on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube, go to marcelasobella.com. If you'd like to see this episode and many more episodes, you can join my Patreon. It is at marcelaalonso.com. Thank you so much again, Selena, for coming on Sunday Funday.
Thank you.